Okay, so for question 7, we have this function f of x equals 2 minus 12 over x plus 5. The domain is from -7 to 7. That is important. -7 to 7. And x cannot equal -5 because if you put in -5, you could divide by 0. Can't happen. Find the range of f. Okay, the first thing I want to do for sure is to sketch this function because I want to know what it looks like. So let's do that. It's 2 minus 12 over x plus 5. And we get this. Okay, nice. Now, this function, we only care from -7 to 7. So -7's around, well, I think it's here, and 7 is here somewhere. It says find the range of values of f. Find the range of f. So the range are the y values. What y values are there for x values between -7 and 7? So if you put in -7, okay, if your x is -7, you'll get this output here. If your x is -6, you'll get this output. If your x is -5, it cannot be -5. There is no -5 because you get this vertical asymptote here. But if your x was -5.001, you're gonna get this. This is going to infinity. So the range of values in this positive direction is going to be whatever this value is here to infinity, because this is going up to infinity. So I need to first get what is f of 7. Sorry, f of -7. So the way we're going to do that is graph trace, type -7 like that, and I get this value 8. So I'm going to actually write this down for some working guys. F of -7 equals 8. Let's go back to this graph. So look, as I approach -5, this thing just goes to infinity. Now it's going to jump to this from my calculator, but this will actually go up to infinity. If you want to f of let me do it, minus 5.0001, I get 1.2 e plus 5, which is like 1.2 times 10 to the power of 5, which is basically 120,000. So this is just going to keep going. If I type in minus 5.00001, I get even more. Look, that's 1,000,000 or whatever. So this is going to infinity. Okay, let's go back to -7. Okay, so -7, it goes from 8 to infinity. Now, similarly, just after -5, this goes to -infinity. So let me, for example, write 5.0001. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted -5, sorry. I wanted -4.99999, because that's approaching -5 from the right. And I get, again, -1.2 million. Let's go back to -7. Anyway, if you don't fully understand what I'm doing there with the infinity stuff, just understand that this is going to infinity and this is going to -infinity. So the range here is going to be 8 to infinity, and the range here in this kind of negative branch, if you like, or this second branch, I need to find what is, so it's -infinity to whatever f of 7 is, because remember we're going from -7 to 7. So that's -7, and 7 will be here. It's 1. So f of 7 is 1. F of 7 equals 1. So therefore the range is y is, and it's less than or equal, so be careful guys, it's greater or equal to 8, greater or equal to 8, or less than or equal to 1. So I can actually write this, guys, the other way. So y is greater or equal to 8 and y is less than or equal to 1. Because of this graph, greater or equal to 8, because at -7 it's 8, so it's 8 or more, goes up along here, and 1 or less, because it comes along here. In between 1 and 8, which is like here, well, there is no output because there's no x value between -7 and 7 that you can put into this function and get an output of, like, for example, 3. There's nothing you can put in between -7 and 7 to give you an output of 3. Okay, anyway, that's part A. That was a bit complicated. Part B, find the value of f minus 1 of 0. Okay, the easiest way to do this is to find, because f minus 1 of 0 is like saying, well, because it's the inverse function, this is the same as saying, what was the input when the output was 0? So it's like saying 2 minus 12 over x plus 5 equals 0. Because if you remember, the domain to f, if you put in what you put into the function, is the domain, put into the function, you get out the range. Well, the inverse function goes backwards, f minus 1. So what happens is the range becomes the domain of the inverse function. So that's where we were putting in the 0, but it's like the range of the function. Anyway, this is like saying when y is 0, what was x? And we can solve it just by solving this equation here. And the answer is, well, we need to find when y equals 0. That's going to be here somewhere. The best way to do that is, sorry, it's going to be like here somewhere. So the best way to do that is we do analyze graph 0, and then you just do this lower bound, upper bound thing, and it's actually equal to 1. So this is x is equal to 1. So that means when I put 1 into this function, I get out 0. So I put in 1 and I get out 0, which means when I put 0 into the inverse machine, I should get out 1. Okay, so therefore f minus 1 of 0 equals 1. Okay, done. Right, that's question 7. A bit more difficult than I was expecting, but there you go. Question 8 next.